Dirty and Driven podcast. Let's go. My name is James DeVinny. I am your host on this fine Tuesday episode. This is the show where we bring people to the blue-collar world. We teach them how to kick ass. Our goal is to gain, train, and retain solid people in the blue-collar industry. What does that mean? That means that we want to bring people in. We want to get them trained up as quickly and efficiently as possible. And we want them hanging around for a while. You don't want to invest all this time and money in people and they leave you. Dirty and Driven is a podcast and we're a training company. So if you want to instill a gain, train, and retain program in your company, hit us up. I'm joined today by the lovely, the talented, award-winning co-host, Mr. KCD.
How are you?
What the hell is that?
Hold on.
Why are you playing the Boomer Sooner theme song?
Well, because we're not now, but when this comes out, we'll be 3 days removed from OU beating Texas.
Oh. Is that game over?
Dude.
I didn't, honestly, I haven't.
Okay. The other podcast the other day, to answer your question, yes, the game is over.
Okay. I didn't know when they played. I knew it was today and I forgot about it.
Kickoff was 11:10. Game day, college game day was there because it was two top 15 teams. Texas was like 6. Yeah. OU was 13 or something.
Oh, Texas was ranked over OU?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Huh. Texas is badass, man.
Are they back?
Not after this game today.
Oh, okay.
So the other day I talked to you about getting too old to get to be invested in the
yelling
blood pressure and all that.
At the TV. Yeah.
It came back today, man. It came back today.
You know what, dude? Every now and then, if you can find something to be that invested in, maybe that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I didn't have any money on the game, but man, you talking about like the second or third play of the game, OU intercepted the ball and they scored within 2 minutes. OU was up 7-0. Then OU was up by 10, tied at halftime. Second half, OU was up a little bit. The next thing you know, Texas came back. I'm trying to speed this up. Then Texas was up by 3, I think, or something. Then OU kicked a field goal and it was tied. Then Texas came down and drove the ball. And just a couple minutes left. Dude, the highs and the lows of this game was crazy. With a couple minutes left, Texas drove down, worked the clock down, and it was probably less than 2 minutes left in the game. Before that, OU went down to kick a field goal to take a 3-point lead because the game was tied. And OU was kicking it to the wind, and it was probably a 40-some yard field goal, and they missed it, didn't quite get it there. It was a tough into the wind kick. So Texas drives down. So OU had a chance to go up with less than 5 minutes left. Texas drives down, less than 2 minutes left. They had about a 48, I'm just making up a number here, yard field goal with the win, split the uprights. Texas was up by 3 with less than 2 minutes left. And they're just like, fuck. It's just damn. And then the commentators, even though they all were pro Texas, they did they hedged their bet. They're like, well, this OU team, whenever they want to go, they can go. Just let's watch how fast they can go. And dude, they went less than 2 minutes left. OU drove the ball. They got down inside the 10-yard line with probably less than 20 seconds left. No timeouts left. The clock is running down. No timeouts left. You either kick a field goal to tie you or you try to score or something. Put a guy in motion from right to left. The secondary guy that was on him, he didn't go to the other side. He's like, you take him. Well, quarterback Gabriel goes back. The guy that was in motion goes, and nobody picks up this guy, and Gabriel tosses it to him. You got to realize this is the fastest, less than 2 minutes left in the game ever. OU comes back, touchdown, and scores with less than 20 seconds left. Kick a field goal. Now OU's up by 4 with less than 20 seconds left. They kick off. Texas gets the ball at the 25. OU plays back. Texas gets the ball about midfield, about the 50. And then the game ain't over yet. There's 3 seconds left on the clock. Texas does a long Hail Mary into the end zone. OU knocks it down and ends up beating Texas.
That's awesome, dude. Games like that are so fun to watch, especially
when
a rivalry.
When your team wins, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I talked the other day about not getting... Yeah, I was fired up, man.
Yeah, that's fun. I've always wanted to go to OU, Texas. I've never made the trip.
I've been to the Cotton Bowl. I watched OU play Arkansas. That was back in my bachelor days. But
I went to the Cotton Bowl one time, but it was to see the Rolling Stones.
They played in the Cotton Bowl? Outside?
They played in the Cotton Bowl arena. There was no football game going on.
But it was...
They just played at the Cotton Bowl.
But it was a stadium, right?
Yeah.
Outside?
Yeah. Only time I've been there. No, that's cool, man, because that's such a good rivalry. That's one of the best rivalries every year. And I would say it's probably a top 3 rivalry in college football. It's just always cool. I mean, even whenever one of the teams suck, it's always a good rivalry.
Yeah. Well, the kicker was
so much hype around it.
Dude, last year, I don't even remember the game because I wasn't following it last year, but OU lost 48-0.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was 48.
I didn't know it was
yeah.
I knew it was an ass whooping last year, but I didn't know it was a good old Texas ass whooping.
And congrats to Oklahoma State for finally getting a win.
Yeah,
again.
they beat K-State. So I need to text my boy Vaughn, tell him to. Last year he was rubbing it in whenever K-State beat OSU because they played in Manhattan, and he's like, I see all these people wearing orange running around out here, and which is funny because I thought last weekend whenever I went to Manhattan, I thought they were playing then,
right?
But it ended up being this weekend, so I was like, dang man, I would have loved to have rubbed that in Manhattan.
Yeah,
but I went to a wedding yesterday, so I didn't watch the game. My friend was getting married. Her wedding started at 6 p.m. in Bigsby, Oklahoma, which is 2 hours away. So I leave, hit some traffic, barely get there, dude. I mean, I came straight from work. So I'm still like wearing my work clothes, stuff like that. I'm stripping down while I'm driving. I'm stuck in some standstill traffic for a minute, so I'm changing while I'm there. Well, I mean, this is what happens when you invite me to a nice event. I'm just throwing this out there now. I pull up in the parking lot. And for one, I don't have my pants on. I had my shirt on because I was able to get that on while I was driving. So I get out of my truck to get my pants out of the back seat. People were pulling in, parking. I had to piss so bad, and it was an outdoor ceremony, and I didn't think that there was going to be a bathroom readily available before the reception. I was like, dude. So I'm just out there with my pants off, pissing in the parking lot before I put my pants on, and then finally got them on and went to the wedding.
That's the beauty of having an appendage. You can hang out.
Yeah. So I don't know if anybody saw me. I mean, people were still parking and stuff, but I mean, I was there. Buttle was there. So
and you're past the statute of limitations. Should someone try to turn you in for doing that?
Well, how could they turn me in? It was on private property.
Yeah, if they were videoing it or something.
Well, then they better give me royalties.
There you go.
Yeah, somebody'd be into it.
Better have that 100-time zoom.
Yeah. No, they need that one that Android came out with. I think it was Samsung. The 1,000-time zoom.
Supposedly can look at the craters on the moon.
Yeah, the one that was like the 1,000-time zoom or whatever.
Yeah, that's the biggest.
They're sitting there looking at me like, James, you might need to go to the doctor, man. Get that thing checked out. You know? Oh shit!
I didn't know the mosquitoes were still out.
Yeah. No, so that's me going to a wedding in a nutshell. But dude, it's been a perfect little fall day here. We always touch on the weather somehow or another, but it's just I mean, it was like what, 30 some odd degrees this morning, and then warmed up to it's been in the 50s most of the day, and finally got up to like 70 some, and you know, you had the football going, and there's an Oktoberfest here in town, and I've just been smoking some meat and hanging out at the house, and it's just a nice fall day.
Yeah, and the wind's slightly out of the north, man. It was awesome.
Beautiful. I wanted to go hunting today, but then I just was like, you know what? I ain't doing nothing today.
You still did something, I bet. Or did you just kind of lounge?
Well, I'm here, aren't I?
No, I didn't.
I mean, we came here. No, my band's got a show tomorrow. Actually at aforementioned said Oktoberfest. At
the very popular Marla Mansion.
Yep.
Which we spoke about Liddy and all that.
Yep. And so I've been preparing for that, just playing bass, going through my set list and everything. I want to make sure it's a good tight show.
How often do you change the strings on that?
Oh, on a bass? Dude, you don't. hardly change the strings more than every few years. Like, a guitar, if you play it a lot, you want to change them, every year or so they'll start going dead. But bass strings, shit, man, I don't even know.
Yeah.
If you keep them clean and not rusty and all that, you get 3 to 5 years or probably even more. I've heard guys say that they've gone 10 years with the same strings.
Yeah, I don't.
Especially those strings, because they're like, the strings for my bass are over $100 for a set. So they're pretty high.
Compared to cheapy $8 to $12 acoustic guitar strings.
Yeah, even expensive acoustic guitar strings, you're looking at like less than $20.
Yeah.
But mine being a 5-string bass, and then it's that weird flanged fret or fan fret. They're a little bit longer, and to get a B string that long is kind of expensive.
Yeah.
So
you can melt it down, use that copper.
I think they're made out of nickel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, dude, it's been good. You've just been working today, haven't you?
If you want to call it that. It was a pretty quiet day out on the pipeline.
Not a lot of oil moving across the world, huh?
We're doing about half production right now.
So,
because we still have the turnaround going on.
I was going to say, yeah, the turnaround's going on, so they're not making as much product. So I guess you're not shipping as much product.
Exactly.
Is that what's going on?
Our refinery and what we move is about a 220,000 barrel a day refinery. And I'm just spitballing here, we're about at half rate right now.
Yeah.
Because if I remember right, there's 2 big areas, 2 big units that are shut down.
Yeah.
For the turnaround. In the shutdown, like we talked about, it's easier to maintain than it is to rebuild, and this is scheduled major maintenance. So.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the biggest turnaround in that refinery's history.
Yeah.
There's been like 2,000 extra people in town. It's crazy.
And the motocross was here last week.
Dude, it was a freaking clusterfuck it's here now. Yeah, it's here now.
Is it still here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
maybe it was practice whenever. I guess it is here, ain't it?
Yeah, they've been here since Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so they, at the time of this recording, they'll be out, but that's a big event, dude. Ponca City Motocross, that's a big event.
I didn't know. I forgot the motocross was here, and I was in Lowe's the other day, and I saw these 2 guys over by the ropes and chains section. I needed to get a piece of like stainless or braided cable, and while I was there, these guys had Red Bull like hats on and Red Bulls.
Yeah.
It was like legit.
Sponsored. Yeah.
And I didn't even put 2 and 2 together that the motocross was here, and they were measuring the length of a chain or rope that they were cutting. And I kind of half-assed asked the guy. I said, "Hey, so what's up with the Red Bull?" Because I kind of wanted to find out what he was here for, but he really didn't hear me. I didn't want to try a second time, but then come to find out the motocross is here, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a big event, dude. Normally I help out with it. I just haven't had the time this year to really.
Have you ever flagged there?
No, I usually help out doing other stuff.
That's right. You're more the cart girl. You're the beer and foo-foo person.
Yeah. Well, so I'm involved with the Ambucks, which the Ambucks put on the whole event.
Right.
But they have a separate kind of organization, nonprofit that's kind of a spinoff, and they're the ones that put the event on, and then everything's through them. But then the Ambucks themselves, they run all the food and concessions and all that, which is a ton of shit, dude. So I usually help cook burgers and shit like that.
I used to flag. I flagged a few summers out there. I remember we got it's like $7 an hour. It might have been less than that. It might have been just like that a day, and we'd get like a free hamburger or something for lunch. Something ridiculous. My brother was like the lead flagger, which you know what the flaggers are, right?
Yeah.
And this was back when Jeff Ward was the big Kawasaki rider. And I remember Damon Bradshaw, I think he might have had a brother, but he'd come out there and he'd be like, he was like the big, not the rodeo clown act, but he was the big act that would go around when the track was shut down during the intermission and do, over the tabletops and do the old tricks on the motorcycle and all that crap. And that was back when this guy named Jeff Emig was just coming up. And anybody who knows about motocross will know these names that I'm spitting out. I remember Jeff Emig, he would ride in the 125cc class and the 250 class and even maybe the 500s. And he had this pink cowboy collar on. I don't know if he was sponsored by Kawasaki yet or not, but he had a pink cowboy ear or whatever, the neck roll on. So you could always tell. And plus, you could always tell it's him because he was kicking everybody's ass. You didn't have to look for the pink deal because you just knew the guy that was lapping everybody was him. But I'd always work right around like hole one or not hole one, turn
Hole
one or
one?
two. Well, turn one or two.
No, I know.
So you come out of the gates and that you do a hard left and you kind of go right. And I always work there. Well, the kicker is, when you flag, you're supposed to flag to let people know, like, and there's an injured rider down, like, watch out, stuff like that. Well, at times too, when it was super duper dry, we would water, you would water the track to keep the dust down and stuff. And sometimes if you watered too much, because, you had control of the hose, and the riders, when they drove by, they'd be bitching at you saying it was too wet and shit. And like, why don't you worry about winning instead of bitching about the track?
The track was too wet in that 3-foot spot, and that's why I lost.
Yeah.
Well, dead last.
It's kind of like, looking at your glove, whenever you miss a ball, you blame it on the glove, Well,
I remember last year it rained so hard, and there was one turn that they like damn near were like walking their bikes through because it just was straight sludge. I mean, and they've done a lot to make the track drain good, but it just it was like torrential downpour right before the race, and they were trying to dry it out. They had the dozers out there, and they were doing everything they could, but it just, you can only do so much. And then, they got it good, but then once they do 4 or 5 races on it in a row, it starts to sludge up again. But
I remember there was one kid, the year that I was flagging, one of the jumps in the back, he had jumped and wrecked on his bike. And whenever he wrecked, I think like the foot peg had stuck in his calf. Mm-hmm. That's literally brutal. He was attached to the bike, and I think they had to unscrew the peg or something and take him in, to get it removed from it.
That's crazy, dude. Those motocross guys are just crazy.
Studs, man.
I've ridden a dirt bike a couple times, but it's just never been one of those things that I'm like, yep, that's for me.
Yeah.
Like, I always look at that, and I've broken a lot of bones. So I think that now that especially that I've had some back injuries and some broken bones, I've always been weary of dirt bikes, but yeah, I've broken some bones and flown over some handlebars of some things, and I have no desire to try and do flips and jumps and stuff like that on a dirt bike.
Nah,
that just looks hard and painful. And all those guys are, I've broken my collarbone 18 times, and nope, I'm good. But yeah, that's in town. It's a clusterfuck for housing because all those turnaround guys are here, and all these motocross people are here, and motocross brings probably 1,000 people to town. And
hey, it's a good time for the city of Ponca City. I know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, economically, it's huge, but it's like there's people staying in Bartlesville and Enid and all sorts of places. Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, that's, hour and a half drive. Some people are staying that far to work. Just to come here and work, they're staying an hour and a half away.
Wow.
That's how short-handed we are on housing.
Time to buy up some real estate and get it ready for the next time.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem, though, is then whenever it's not turnaround for the 2 months, everybody says that, like with my Airbnbs, I've got the 2 Airbnbs and it's, I bet the turnaround keeps you in business. I'm like, I mean, yeah, the 3 weeks out of the year that they have it, it's nice that I get $10 extra a night or whatever, but it's not exactly paying the bills for the whole year. Yeah. Common misconceptions. But dude, Victoria's been kicking ass on that turnaround. She's been doing really good. 13 days on, 1 day off, 13-hour days, and she's done awesome, and she's gotten real hands-on with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she'll come home filthy sometimes, just like, I was shoveling sludge out of the alky all day, or I was, climbing beams and pipes all day, doing inspections. I was doing, it's like, damn, like she's an engineer. She doesn't have to do this stuff, but she has chosen to do that and help out and really done great at it. So
it's good, man.
Props to her whenever you listen to this, baby. I love you.
Yeah, it's a good time to make some money out there too. I do know a lot of those guys that are involved with the turnaround and the irons, man. It's literally an extra 30 or 50% of their paycheck by the time the year end is done, just for the extra 2 months of putting in OTs.
Oh yeah, dude. Victoria we were looking at her overtime the other day, which, I mean, she's working 90-hour weeks. You know what I mean? Like, and
yeah, if you get time and a half and double time sometimes, if that's how the pay scale is.
Oh yeah. And it's either like last time she did a turnaround, she took part of it as overtime, and then she took part of it as PTO. Mm-hmm. So she got like several $1,000s paid out at the end, on a lump sum deal. And then she also got like 3 or 4 extra weeks of PTO. It was ridiculous. I mean, you know, and that all rolls over. So she can basically take off whenever the hell she wants because she saved up so much. And like because she worked her first 2 years working there, she worked 3 turnarounds.
Nice.
You know, so she got all that racked up, which is pretty cool.
Sounds like she's the breadwinner in your little family.
Well, she does win some bread, but
you're the bread eater.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just a bum, dude. Just podcasting.
When's the last time you had a piece of bread?
Last time I had a piece of bread?
Yeah. I bet you don't eat bread, do you?
I haven't had bread in a while.
I knew it.
It's been a while. It's
probably
been a while.
Gluten snob. I don't eat gluten.
Gluten's not one of those things that I specifically look for. Now, I think that most of the foods I eat probably don't have gluten in them, but I don't necessarily look for the gluten-free labels.
I look for gluten-specific food.
Yeah.
I try to just eat gluten just by itself.
Have you ever seen the South Park episode where there's South Park reference for everything, man?
Yeah. I do know that.
It was them making fun of like the gluten's not bad for you, and this is the scientists. They're like,
oh yeah, well eat it then.
They're like, yeah, and he's like, see, watch this. I put this bread through this, and this is just straight purified gluten, and it's totally safe. See, I can touch it. And they're like, drink it.
Yeah, the person in the crowd said, why don't you drink it then?
And he's like, and they're like, yeah, if you believe it so much, why don't you drink it? And he's, and then he drinks it, and his dick blows off. Drop my notepad. No, I don't. I mean, I eat everything whole foods, so it's probably gluten free, I guess. But I'm not specifically looking for gluten free. No, I can't tell you the last bread I had to answer your question. It's been a while.
Well, as I've mentioned before, I drank out of a water hose growing up, and I pick up food off the ground and eat it, you know, if it hasn't been 5 or 10 seconds. So I'm not really too picky about watching the labels and what I eat.
Well, I pick things up off the ground, and you know, I grew up drinking out of the water hose, but then I learned about fluoride and shit like that, and I try to not drink out of the water hose anymore. But I will.
What if that's propaganda just against fluoride? What if there are like super duper benefits for fluoride and gluten?
You would have to show them to me, and I would read them and review them and see if that's true.
Yeah, so there you go.
I mean, I research things, so
fluoride has to be good for you because it's in your toothpaste too. I mean, why would they put it in toothpaste?
Why would the Romans put lead in their water supply and season food with lead? There's a lot of things like that. You look at a lot of...
They season their food with lead?
Dude, they would literally, yeah. No bullshit, dude.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah.
Wonder what it tastes like.
I don't know. Probably nice metallic taste.
A little heavier.
Can you imagine just like salt, pepper, add a little dash of rosemary, and how about some lead?
Can't really pass the lead over. It'd weigh a little bit more in the shaker than everything else.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it was in their water supply. They say, like, if you really research it, there's a lot of people that attribute the downfall of Rome to the fact that they started drinking lead because it was literally making their population dumber. Same deal with fluoride. And the reason the fluoride thing came about was there was this tribe. I don't know where the tribe was at. I can't remember. But they had really strong, straight, clean teeth. And so they were like, well, why are these people's teeth so great? And so they started looking, and this is kind of what their reasoning is behind pushing fluoride into the water supply. That's kind of the door that opened for whoever is pulling these strings. And they started testing the water, and the water was like, I mean, wherever the region was, I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been a while since I read this, but very clean, very good, high mineral water, and like they found very trace amounts of fluoride in that water, but it's like less than it's like a tenth of a tenth, so like 100% of what the amount of fluoride is that we put into our tap water. And it's they were trying to say, well, that's what made their teeth so strong. Well, really and truly, there's no scientific evidence to support that other than the fact that they found fluoride in these people's water. But again, it was like 100th of that. And so they started putting in our water, but I mean, it's poison, and it's known to be a something that harms you neurologically and slows your thinking and slows your brain. And I've told you before, dude, I started drinking just water out of that artesian well. And if I go off that stuff, especially like, I don't notice it as much like going off it, but getting back on it, I'll realize that like my energy levels get better and I think a lot more clearly. And the first time I did it, I was like, well, maybe it's a hoax. Maybe it's just all in my head. But then I got off it because I ran out and I hadn't gone back to the spring, and I was off it for like a month. And then I noticed I was getting like my energy levels were dropping. I went and got more of that water. As soon as I got back on it after maybe 3-4 days of drinking it and only drinking it, dude, like right back.
You sure it's not the placebo effect?
Yeah, I'm sure now because I've done it multiple times, and it's like whenever I'm off it, I don't really think much of it. But
how often do you test that artesian well water?
They have test reports online.
They do, but I'm talking about when you physically fill it up from that little 2-inch water line.
I personally have not, but I have been there
you go.
multiple times. Whenever it got,
leave the train in there.
That
man.
train is loud,
dude. I love it, man.
But I personally have not tested it, but I've been there whenever other people do test it. Usually when I'm there, there's somebody else there, and like half the time someone's testing it.
I wonder what kind of test kits they have. Is it just a random? Like
that's getting a little far out of my.
No, I'm curious because I have well water. Then I also am off the city, and I was just kind of curious what the supposed legit people use. That's all I was asking.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that they're just cheapo test kits. I mean, I doubt any of these people are like out here with $multi-thousand water test kits or something.
Have you ever worried about all the fracking that goes on around there, like getting into that artesian well water?
No, because that stuff's so protected. I mean,
okay.
like water resources, aquifers, all that. I mean, DEQ, EPA, all that. They are very protective of those types of water sources. And I think that the well is, I don't think they're on the same like levels. You know what I mean? Like they're not.
I don't hear positivity in that.
Like one of them,
you're questioning yourself. Have you ever noticed whenever you fill that water up in your bottle that it has a bunch of little bubbles in it?
No.
I noticed that the last time I went there and filled up.
Probably just the pressure, all that water getting in there.
Well, even water under pressure doesn't have any bubbles.
Yeah, but it would have air pushing through it if there's pressure, right? I mean, like because you're not getting a total seal on your bottle.
But still, it's not like you have carbonation, in the water. If air's in the water, air is going to suspend. It's going to be at the top. It ain't going to be trapped in like little bubbles.
I don't know, man.
I noticed that the last time I went and got water there, and I started getting in my head. I was like, dude, what if there's like some type of gaseous? What if it was from the fracking or the disposal wells from their frack water?
I feel like you'd taste it.
Well, I don't know, man.
Because like frack water is salt water.
Yeah, but
that's like real salty water. One guy told me one time it was like a slow rain day, winter. It was like rain day or something like that. Back whenever I was on the crew, and we were out spraying weeds around the office or something like that, and we were spraying. I was like, man, this weed killer sucks. This is like the second time we've sprayed, and it just didn't. He goes, you know what the best weed killer is? I was like, what's that? And he goes, frack water. He goes, it's just pure. He's like, it is like the saltiest of salt water. And he said, you can kill it. And he said, it won't ever grow back.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the glyphosate and other types along that line, they're glyphosate salts. So if you make home remedy weed killer, it's like, I don't know if it's like salt and vinegar and something else. That's all it is. And you just spread that on the old foliage.
It's like what is it, Athens, Greece, where the Romans came through and they pillaged and burned it. And then they took, I could throw a number out, but thousands, millions of pounds of salt and just spread it all over Athens because they're like, we don't want anything to ever grow. It may not have been Athens, but it was a Greek city. And they just threw salt all over everything so that way it like never grow again kind of thing.
Kind of like how we used Agent Orange in Vietnam, was it, to like defoliage the lush forests in Vietnam?
I don't know.
You ever hear that?
I've heard about Agent Orange, but I never really knew what it was for.
Yeah, same shit on a different scale.
Yeah.
That was today's day and age, not Athens with their salt back then.
A lot of Roman talk today.
When you said Athens, Greece, I didn't hear Athens. All I heard was Greece, and I thought it was a certain type of grease that you would put on your bearings, or.
I was talking about the movie Grease. I've never seen the movie Grease. Have you?
Oh yeah, my wife and daughter.
Yeah, my wife.
Oh, Sandy, I got moon, bet you're fine.
People start talking about that, and I'm always like, dude, I've never seen that movie.
You better shape up. I need a man.
I don't think I could sit through that movie. Everybody's, people start talking about, it's like in Grease. I'm like, I haven't seen Grease. You haven't seen Grease? Oh. I get that it's a classic. I get that it's probably one of the biggest movies of all time, but I ain't watching it.
You not seeing Grease is kind of like Victoria not seeing Jackass.
Is it though?
Pretty much, yeah. You've had... Now, do you need to see Grease? No. But I think that's where the poodle skirts came from.
Yeah. Poodle skirts are a weird thing. I've never understood that one. Never understood that one.
So what's our topic today?
Our topic today.
That's a nice segue to our topic.
That's a nice segue to our topic. Our awkward pause of, this conversation.
Well, I realize we've been bullshitting and...
Yeah, we're 30 minutes in and haven't said a thing.
Your meat that you're smoking is...
Yeah, my meat's just drying out. I actually do need to lower my smoker. Anyways, back to our topic. No, dude, after talking to Larry Ruffton, old Rough Iron, last Friday, I just thought it'd be cool to talk about creativity in construction.
Good podcast, by the way.
Yeah, that guy's cool, man.
He's got a lot of shit going on.
Dude, he is an onion. And then after we get off the phone, he keeps telling me even more shit that I'm like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
He's like, he was telling me after we got off the phone or after we quit recording that he's big into fishing and he goes to all his job sites with a kayak on his truck. So he'll just pull up. He's like, whenever I'm on a job site, whenever I pull up and you just see a big ass kayak strapped to the top of my truck. And I was like, damn, dude. I was like, this guy's just all over the place in the best way. So, but I think that talking about creativity in construction, I actually had this conversation not too long ago with somebody, but I think that construction people, so on another podcast I was on, something that somebody asked was, do you think that blue collar people are smart? Like, he's like, do you find them, intellectually intelligent? And I said, yeah. I said, I find blue collar people very smart. I said, in fact, they are probably smarter than a lot of your professors and doctors and stuff like that. Now it's a different kind of smart. Now, are they smart in the fact that they can do quantum physics or know what an integer is or even know how to say the word integer? Probably not. But I bet if you got a lot of medical professionals out on a bridge deck, they wouldn't know the first thing about reading plans. You know what I mean? It's blue collar people do amazing things. And I find them to be geniuses. I mean, just a guy that's, redneck, filthy, doesn't know how to talk in proper grammar, can barely read or write, but absolute genius when it comes to building things. And where this all ties in is I think that creativity in construction is a topic that we don't talk about ever. And I think that it's imperative to the job itself because everything in construction involves creativity. Now, you can look at it from different perspectives, like there's social media, like, okay, yeah, creativity, marketing, or just, showing off what you do. Like Larry is a, great example, or, a lot of other guys that have been on the show or that we follow and that we share their stuff. They're all over TikTok and Instagram, tons of them. There's creativity in that regard of them just showing off what they do and making funny, engaging content that brings people to the trades. I think that that's a form of creativity. And that's probably the most common form of creativity that people think of. But I think that where most construction guys are incredibly creative people is in just talking about how are we going to build this job. And I think that a lot of people, if they realize that that's creativity and kind of learn how to tap into their creativity, they could even learn to maximize this even more.
Are you looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
Yeah, creativity. I think obviously you need to look at something and know how to problem solve, be open to others' ideas, and hopefully be able to come to a conclusion on how to get things done. Yeah. I mean, creativity. Yeah, everybody in the respective field, man. That's the same as if you and I went up to the surgeon or the doctor or the lawyer or who. It'd be just all not white noise, but we'd have no clue because that's like you talking about asphalt with me.
Yeah.
And like Victoria and I talking about, the refinery and pipeline movements and all types of stuff like that with you. It's not that you don't get it, but in your own respective field, hopefully blue collar wise, I mean, you're a wizard in that own field.
Yeah.
And to go along with your being creative, man, that's the kicker, man. You don't just, when you hit a roadblock, you don't just stop and say, oh, fuck it, that's it, and take your nail bag off or your whatever, your suspend whatever you're wearing and go to the house. You gather up, you figure it out, you cuss and discuss and move forward because there's shit to do. You got to be creative. Sometimes you got to go outside the box too. You do that lateral thinking like I talked to you about before. Instead of attacking something head on that looks obvious, maybe get a different perspective, stand back and say, you know what, this is out of the norm, but let's try attacking it this way. It's never been done. Hopefully you do it safely and hopefully come up with a good idea.
Cuss and discuss, dude. I like that term. I guess I haven't really ever thought of that one. There you go, being creative. Yeah, and I think that what's important to note about creativity is when you are in a field where creativity is required, you get creative minds, right? And sometimes creative minds work a lot differently. Like an engineer, for example. They are very by the book people, by the rules. They fit within the rules. Now they're creative within the rules, but these are the rules, these are the specs, this is what I abide by, and this is what it is. And they're absolute analytical people. I think that they can be creative, but for the most part, it's very straightforward based on the facts. This is how we have to do it based on facts. You can't get too creative when building a road. Now you can get creative on the general idea of, well, we're going to do this instead of that, but they have to do it within the confines of what the specs are and what the soil conditions are and what all that is. So they're a little more analytical. And I think that we're talking about this is cool is because whenever people think like to a young kid that might be listening, somebody who's maybe not in the trades that says, man, I want to do one of the fun jobs. Like I want to be a comedian or I want to be a musician or I want to be an actor. I want to be any of these fun, quote unquote, cool jobs, the jobs that make you, they give you that creative release because I think that's why people enjoy playing music and they enjoy doing comedy and they enjoy acting and they enjoy being involved in that kind of stuff is because they like the creative process. But I think that creative process is also alive and well in the construction trades and that should really make you want to consider this as a career because, I mean, let's face it, to be a musician or a comedian or any sort of entertainment performer or even a football player or an athlete, I mean, those opportunities are few and far between. But you can get the same creative satisfaction from being in construction. Now, where I also want to go with that is to like teachers or to the students that are out there. There's some students that just don't cut it in the world. And some of those students are your musician types or they're your just creative minds that they don't fit the regular confines of school, how it's taught and how they want it taught. And those students usually do very poor for themselves. And I mean, you get tons of stories of guys. They're like, yeah, my teacher told me I wasn't going to be anything because I couldn't do much and I couldn't go to college and this, that, the other. I just wasn't a good student. I'd skip class. But if you can learn how to channel some of these guys' creativity and like get them into a shop program or get them working for somebody and give them a chance and listen to your people, I think this is where now, if you're a teacher or a parent getting them into that field, I think that they can excel creatively if they're working for the right kind of boss.
Yeah, and if you're not getting to where you want to be, then you have to be creative if you really desire to be to where you want to be.
Yeah.
If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and it's not getting you the results that you want, well, you need to get creative, whether it's you trying to wholeheartedly do it yourself or get somebody else involved to help you. And that's the same with working on projects or anything, man. If the square peg ain't fitting in the circular hole, well, you need to get creative. If that thing really does need to go in there, you need to figure out a way to get it to go in there. Yeah. Be creative. Yeah. And that's, like I said, with your job, if you want to, promote within, up, out, whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, you have to get creative. I think that creativity is the way to excel in the trades even.
And it's fun though too, right?
It is. It makes it a little more fun.
Yeah. Got the old gears turning.
Yeah. Everybody, people say like, oh, everyone's lazy nowadays. They don't want to work and this, that. But if you give somebody purpose, they're going to be very hardworking and very loyal. And to give them purpose, you have to sometimes give them responsibility or just give them input in whatever you're doing. So if I come up to you with a problem, like you and I mean, obviously the Dirty and Driven project is a creative project. We're getting on here, we're podcasting, we're putting out content, and we're putting work into this, and it involves a lot of creativity. We have ideas, we bounce them off each other all day long, and that translates to the job site too. Dude, I've seen some amazing creativity coming out of your just roughest, gruffest guys whenever you're on a job site, and all of a sudden the plans say you have to do this, but it doesn't work in the real world. And then you go to the engineer and they're like, well, just do what the plans say. And you're like, you physically cannot. And you may not have time to redesign it. So you just got to come up with something on the fly, and you have to get real creative to get this job done. Or it's just a really complicated, hard job, and you just have to get creative. And sometimes shit hits the fan. Like, I'm sure, how many times have you torn into a wall and seen some shit that you're like, oh fuck, I don't know how I'm going to fix this.
Yep. You need to stand back and reassess.
Yeah, you got to get real creative sometimes. But the people that can do that are the ones that excel hard. And like you're saying, to move up, you got to be creative. I mean, if you're just a bland, regular old dude and you don't really contribute much to the conversation of problem solving, and that's okay if you don't want to move up, but to the people that do, you have to learn how to get creative and you have to learn how to problem solve.
Yeah, and also, I think that's the third train.
Dude, there's a lot of trains going by today.
That's good. I guess that might be good.
I don't know.
I think George Soros would be happy because isn't he more of a supports the rail industry instead of pipelines and stuff?
I mean, most of the big billionaires are involved in the railroad somehow.
Yeah,
Warren Buffett, he's the.
Yeah, it might have been.
I know they own
Warren Buffett, Sam Walton.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah. Henry Bellman was the other one that I was thinking of. He was like a governor of Oklahoma or a senator.
He's from Billings, Oklahoma. He was a governor.
Yeah, but that's so.
Was he a billionaire or is he a billionaire?
I doubt it. Oh. But the famous guys, I know this is off topic, but Bellman and then Walton. Walton's from Kingfisher.
Yeah. Bellman's from Billings.
Yeah, we kind of misquoted the other day and said, what's his face? Was from Oklahoma and he's from Nebraska.
Warren Buffett, yeah, he's from Omaha.
Yeah, a little slippage, but that's the 80-20 in us,
Yeah.
I don't even know what the hell I was going to say. What was I going to say?
I don't know. We got talking about trains. Choo-choo.
God dang it, dude. I was going to say something. Might even need to cut this out. I had something good too, but obviously not that good.
I'd love to say I'm going to cut it out, but
you didn't do that the other day when I said cut it out. You kind of cut out a little bit after I said cut it. Hey, you might cut this out, and you left all of it in there into up until I said you might cut this out. So you left everything in there that I wanted you to cut out, but the thing that you did cut out was you might cut this out. My words, but then you went right into the next deal.
I didn't edit our last show at all. It
was either the last show or the show before.
I haven't done it the last couple. I've literally just thrown them out there, and that's what I'm going to do with this one. So sorry, everybody.
But to go off I've heard you say it multiple times, and you posted it about kids are lazy or whatever. People just don't want to work. I think I have, I'm not really out there a ton, but I haven't seen it that people don't want to work. But what I have seen is, or what I do understand, I keep referring to my age being your elder. I keep referring to, I think the older you get, just like the generation before me, like my father, he probably looked at the World War II guys because he was a Vietnam era type of guy.
Yeah.
The World War II guys probably looked at my father, although, those guys were drafted, along with World War II. He probably looked at his generation. My grandpa probably looked at my dad thinking, these guys don't want to work because before this time, we didn't have electricity and shit. These guys don't know anything about working. Then my dad comes along and he looks at my generation, although I worked. I slacked a lot too. I ain't gonna lie when I was a kid. But he probably looked at, man, these little fucking bastards they got it made. They got 3 channels on TV. This is back when we had 3 channels on the old picture tube. And we did have a remote control, fortunately, when it came along. But they probably looked at us thinking, these little bastards don't want to work. Then I think it's a generational thing to where then at my age, I look at, these kids don't know shit about work, dude. They got social media, they got internet, they got everything at the power of their hands, access to information, all that. They have no clue what real work is. Then who knows what's going to happen when you get a little older. Not saying you're going to say it, but who knows with the advancements of technology and just there's more blue collar, less what. And you might even think mentally like, dude, these little bastards don't want to work. Did they have no clue what it was like back in 2012 when I had to get my finger, you know what I mean? And I think it's just one of those common deals that keeps going with. I
think so too. Like, did you see the news article that I posted? Like that was like throughout since like 1910 or something like that, of like different newspapers basically saying the exact same thing.
Yes. Yeah. So to my point or your point or our point, I think it's just one of those deals that you just say.
Well, that's, again, it comes back to creativity, right? I mean, we have different technology, we have different resources, and we are different interests. I mean, I look at like myself versus, like someone your age or a little bit older than you even it's just different. And we are creatively different. Like you're going to look at a problem differently than I'm going to look at a problem. Like there might be a deal where you and I can be on the same job, or if I have a competitor that I'm estimating and I'm bidding against somebody, we're going to build that job very differently. Every contractor is going to build it different because it's creative minds. And that's where and I know we talk about AI a lot, that I go, man, how is AI going to keep up? Like that's where I say that blue collar work is safe, because there's so many intricate creative things that a human mind is designed to create and build and solve those problems, those hard things, and look at it and go, crap, I'm here. How do I get there? In a way that I don't know that like a robot necessarily could, even if it's got everybody's knowledge ever combined into it. It's just, there's something about creativity that whenever your back's to the wall, or your back is going to be to the wall, you're able to get it done. And this industry is full of that.
Kind of along those same lines about being creative, where I mentioned about if you don't like where you're at and you maybe want to advance, if everybody is this same person, this same clone of each other at work, the same robot, the same whatever, and you want to stand out, the idea is you don't want to be the same yes man or yes ma'am or whatever. You want to be that anomaly, and hopefully the good anomaly. That way you shine and you stick out. So you need to be creative, whatever that creativeness is, to make yourself stand out, to hopefully whoever the people that are promoting or hiring that are looking at all this same line of people, then here's this one person that's standing out that's, the shiny little coin compared to everything else. Be creative. That's a good way to look at utilizing creativity.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And sometimes that creativity is just, man, how do I shovel better to stand out on all these ground floor people? Sometimes that creativity is, how can I load trucks faster? How can I do these tasks faster and more efficient and better and stand out in that regard? How can I add quality, save time, save money? Like doing those little things, even as just a grounds guy, starting out bare bones minimum. And then if you're an experienced guy and you can do that and you can kick ass and take names, awesome. How can I do this safer without compromising time? How can I, do all this stuff? It's creativity every single day in this industry, whether you realize it or not. You're using creativity. And I think that if you can find creative outlets as well outside of your job, you're only going to get better at it inside your job. Like if you have a side hustle or just hobbies, even if you're a fisherman, you've got to get creative, and you have to have a lot of knowledge of fishing to be like your hardcore fisherman. they're real creative whenever it comes to fishing. It's, I'm not catching this with this, so I'm going to try this jig with this feather and this deal and this rod and reel, and I'm going to put it over in these weeds instead of those weeds. I mean, real creative. And in order to be creative, you have to learn, and you have to be willing to learn. Like, you look at your favorite people of anything, whether you look up to operators or you look up to a musician or something like that. Whenever you listen to these guys and you talk to these guys, you realize like that creativity is not a you have it or you don't kind of thing. Sometimes you might have an idea just hit you, but you have to train your brain in order for these creative ideas and these creative problems to hit you. Like you have to have a little bit of knowledge, and you have to learn, and you have to grow, and you have to put in the time and do the bullshit work. And, like no musician just ever shit out a song and that first song they ever wrote went triple platinum. They grinded it out. They wrote some shitty poems. They wrote some shitty songs. They played in front of crowds of 5 people. They got made fun of, and they got better and better. And then all of a sudden the creativity hit them, and boom, they write a hit.
Yeah. That reminds me of listening to the Hulk Hogan on the Rogan podcast, talking about how did he come up with the old hand to his ear, listening to the crowd. And it was one of those deals. He was watching one of the wrestlers that, he stole a little bit of ideas from, and he saw this one up and coming wrestler that he would do a move, and then he would wave his hand and hold it up to his ear to the crowd to listen to the crowd. And the crowd would be like, it would get a pretty good pop. And Hogan would be like, hey man, that's a pretty good idea. That's being pretty creative, dude. I'm going to keep that one in the old back pocket. So, man, yeah, it's...
Dude, and something else he said that goes into that too is like you have to be confident in yourself in the creativity space. Like whenever you have an idea come to your head, I can't tell you how many times I've done this, especially whenever I was brand new to the industry. But even still, I'm afraid to speak up sometimes. I'm talking to guys that have been doing things for decades, and we're sitting there solving a problem. And to me, like I see the answer right in front of me, and I go, oh, well, it's so obvious. These guys have already pondered that and considered it. I'm not even going to say anything. Well, then like way later, like after they've been debating and arguing and we've been thinking problem solving, and I finally either I'll say it or somebody else finally say, well, why don't we just do this? And then I go, well, fuck, dude, that was my idea 3 hours ago. Why didn't I say that?
Yeah. Well, hopefully I know that's a problem in a lot of businesses, to where people are afraid to speak up because things will get shot down. I've talked to you about this before, but hopefully the people who make the decisions will take your ideas, whoever that is, whether you're the peon that's working for a big company or somebody on the same level. Hopefully they'll take your ideas and at least give them a little bit of validity, because when it does, that's good as a whole instead of just shooting things down, man.
Yeah. No, I agree. And that's something that I've learned is like speak up, because like, especially when I was brand new to the industry and I didn't, I had a little bit of experience in other things, but not in like, say, asphalt, for example. Like whenever I first went to work on an asphalt crew, well, we'd be sitting around and like, the foreman, superintendent, whoever else, main operators, they'd be the guys that know their shit. Right. Be standing around going, looking at the plans and looking at the road and, oh crap, this ain't going to work. I don't know how we're going to build this. And, I don't really, and they're debating. Like in my head, I think, oh, well, why don't we just like do this? And then I go, nah, that's too obvious. So you kind of second guess yourself and you go, nah, but then that ends up being either what they do, or hours later you go, so how come we couldn't do blah, blah, blah? And they go, well, shit, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And there's been, I can't even tell you how many times where that's happened. And I go, wow, I really wish I would have spoke up sooner, because like that would have been my idea. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have that idea and people are just frustrated and they're in the moment and they don't want to listen. They don't want to, which is not a good thing, but it's a common deal, and they don't want to listen to others' ideas. And you try to speak up and they go, but you got to make it their idea. And once it's their idea, they're on board. And that's another thing of creativity, is how do you creatively
well, another way to help be creative too is if you have a situation that you can't quite figure out, or let's say you have figured it out. I know you and I hedge a lot whenever we say something. We'll say like, let's say you can't do, or maybe you can. We always like hedge it just in case.
We always try to like go, yeah.
Well, it's either one or the other. But let's say you have, I know we need to be wrapping up soon.
Yeah.
But that was my hint of we need to be wrapping up soon.
No, I agree, dude.
But check this out, man. Let's say you need to figure out something. You're something you're working on. You've got your work group around you. You might have an idea on how it should go, but what you need to do is, and hopefully be a good leader and a good coworker, is go lean on the other people around you, get their perspective on what you're trying to figure out. That way you get their buy-in. That way there's other creative minds that feel like they're part of the solution to the problem. And then y'all worked as, kind of like a creative whole to come up with the answer to what you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I see it, man. And places that I work, and I'm pointing, I didn't say it, but I've seen it to where you have higher ups that they might say it, but damn well when the door is closed, they're like, dude, to hell with this guy. They don't take the lessers, the people on the lower part of the totem pole's ideas as much as they would somebody on the same pay scale as them.
Yes.
And dude, it is so irritating and frustrating to where you try and try and try to be a part of the team because you want to do good for the company and the shareholders and everybody else. But then when you get shot down 2 or 3 times, you finally just get your head down, stick your tail between your legs, and you stop coming up with these creative ideas because it's not getting anywhere because the people in the offices have different ideas, and who in the hell is this peon down here coming up with them ideas? Yeah. So hopefully the people listening that do have businesses and stuff, or are part of businesses, hopefully everybody values each other's opinions somewhat equally to hopefully be a better company and a better worker.
Well, and I tell every new person we hire is, I want you to speak up because, like, especially like safety, for example. Like if you see something that can be done better, speak up. Like there can be a knife hanging from the ceiling and we just don't see it because we're used to it. So they could look at something and say, why is it like this? Or why don't we do it this way? And sometimes like you're new and you say, well, why don't we do it this way? Well, we have done that before and we have tried that. And if you can explain it in a non-dickhead way, then that's great. Just, well, hey, here's actually why we can't do that. I mean, I understand your idea, but no, that, like, believe me, if we could do it that way, we would, but there's more to it than that, that kind of thing. That's good. And then it's at least the conversation's there. Or
maybe you can revisit that deal that didn't work in the past, maybe do a little tweak to it. Maybe it will work this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Entertain it, talk about it, talk through it. Because I've had that happen before. Well, like because I'm the guy that I drive my bosses nuts, I always have since I was a young kid. I'm always, why are we doing it this way? Why do we do it this way? Like one time my first boss, he's, why? You're always asking why, just for once, and he would always answer and he'd always be real patient. But there was one day that he was just stressed the hell out to the max. And I was like, hey, why are we doing it this way? And it's like Herb Sargent talked about. He said, sometimes you got to know when to ask questions. Well, I was asking what, and I think I said it. I don't think I just said it in that polite, like, why are we doing it this? I think I said it like a 16-year-old would say, context. Why? Yeah. Hey, do this, and that. Why? And that's whenever you get that. And I was wondering, genuinely why, not like trying to be an asshole, like, ooh, that seems stupid, but it came out like that. And he's, why? You're always asking why. Like, he's like, you have some other better way to do it. How else are you going to do it, James? And I'm like, okay, true.
Yeah. And remember the context whenever you say why, or you speak on anything, a lot of times context is everything.
You shouldn't just say why. And I learned that.
Dude, why, man?
Yeah.
That's different than why.
Yeah. Well, and just saying like, even if it's the only way to do it, it's just like, why is this the only way to do it? Like I just want to know, like, I don't have the same perspectives as you.
Well, when you end up having kids and you tell them to clean their room and they say, why? You tell them because I said so. You don't need to explain it. I'm serious, dude. You'll understand.
Oh, I know. It'll come. I mean, believe me, my brother's 10 years younger than me, and I'd use that one a lot, especially whenever he's like 5, 6 years old. He'd start, why? Because I said so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, dude. And if you're a leader, don't stifle your people's creativity. Like eventually they're going to stop being creative and stop helping solve problems if you're too arrogant to let them speak. Like you have to create a framework and you have to create a space where whenever a problem arises, that even the lowest rung guy on the totem pole can, even if he says some shit that's stupid, that like to you is stupid, you got to remember that, all right, you've been doing this for 20 years and he's been doing it for 4 months. So, it may sound stupid to you because you're used to doing it a different way, or you know the answer to his suggestion is bad, but you still have to take the time and just at least acknowledge it. At least acknowledge that, hey, what you said is not stupid. You know, we can't do it that way, but you know, you're not an idiot. You don't make him feel like an idiot. Oh, listen to this fucking dumbass. Unless they say some really stupid shit, then you make fun of them.
So
right?
you hedged yourself right there. So you did it.
Yeah, but you got to keep the industry in mind, right? You know, I mean, sometimes somebody will be like, well, why don't we just blow up the porta potty? Well, what the fuck kind of idea is that? Stupid, you know? I mean, you know.
Yeah, we're all in.
So sometimes people say some off the wall shit and they deserve to get made fun of. I'm not saying everybody's feelings matter all the time. Sometimes people need to be made fun of.
Well, you can use this in business, employment, or in life. We're all in business to make money, or at least to support our families, or in life to support each other. And the best way to keep that paycheck coming or keep things going is to make sure that the good ideas are coming, meaning the more you entertain other people's ideas and get other people involved. Now, granted, here goes my hedge. I'm getting ready to hedge here. Now, granted, you don't want someone why all the time and taken up with just a ton of nonsense. Right. There needs to be some good value of asking questions while we're doing it. But the more you get everybody on board to hopefully to be creative and solve the problem, then the more beneficial it's going to be for your employment, meaning your bosses that pay you, the shareholders, the whole nine. Work's going to keep coming. It's going to be a beautiful thing.
Yep. One last thing I just want to say, like last point I want to make, and we'll wrap it up. We're right at an hour. Is as far as like, again, just bringing up that creativity, problem solving, stuff like that. You know, dude, to become a creative person, like not everybody's a creative minded person. Everybody is maybe in a little sense, but like I said, you know, your engineers are a little different than like a musician. You know, they're not going to understand each other. This guy's not going to understand that guy. But if you really want to start learning how to problem solve better, one, look at your resources, look at what you're consuming, and look at the information you're consuming. Look at the podcasts you're listening to, the books you're reading, the TV shows you're watching, the shit you're listening to on the, you know, garbage in, garbage out, positive in, positive out. But also, sometimes give your mind a chance to just breathe, whether that's just not listening to anything for a little while, not watching anything for a little while. Just give your mind a chance to breathe and relax, and it's going to help you solving some of these big problems. And again, as a leader, listen to your people. If you want to make yourself more creative and learn how to be a better problem solver yourself, then listen to your people. Take everything into account, whether it's good or bad. You don't have to use everybody's ideas and roll with it, but you should at least consider them all.
Word.
One other thing I'm going to say. Well, I mean, no other points I'm going to make, but I just want to say, if you like the show, 5-star review. If you like the show a lot, drop $1 in the tip jar. You can click our link tree down in the show notes.
Just a tip.
Just the tip.
If you want to find me, KCD369.
KCD369 at Dirty and Driven for the Dirty and Driven page. If you want to follow me personally, at JL Deviney. Tip jar helps us out a lot. Thank you to everybody who's donated thus far. Shout out to Ben Parmalee, who is he was our Instagram giveaway winner. He just bought 50 stickers from us.
Nice.
So that's badass.
Is he going to stick them on gas pumps like the old Biden did this stickers?
It'd be kind of badass. Yeah. Dirty and Driven did this? No. He's a cool dude. We've been talking a lot. But shout out to him for buying those and then giving them out to his guys and everything. If you guys want to order a big order of stickers or shirts, let me know and we'll make that happen for you. Also, I just want to say that I don't know why that I know that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are dating, but I don't care. I don't want to care. Please stop shoving it down our throats on social media. Please stop shoving it down our throats on the news. And any other pointless, meaningless bullshit like that, please stop.
Did you hear what Aaron Rodgers called Travis Kelce?
No, and I don't know if I want to know.
You do. He goes, "Oh, you mean Mr. Pfizer?"
Mr.
Because
Pfizer.
he's on all the Pfizer commercials.
Yeah. And I heard that, and I don't know why I know that, but I do. Literally, I knew nothing about Travis Kelce other than the fact that he played for the Kansas City Chiefs before 2 weeks ago, and now I know too much.
It all started whenever you went to the Taylor Swift concert is what started it all.
It's my fault. Huh?
The white pants.
Dirty and Driven did this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you were looking for the Von Kohler podcast that I was on, he told me it was going to be out last Tuesday whenever our last show aired, and I said it. It's actually going to be on now, the Thursday after this one is out. So
Okay, because I did look for it. The last.
yeah, well, I did too. I was like, what the hell? And then he hit me up the other day. He's like, it'll be out next Thursday. I was like, okay. So the Thursday after this one comes out, it'll be up. That's all I got. Casey, you got anything?
Nope.
All right, guys, do something hard today.
By God.
Bow, 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 bow.